The sea keeps secrets better than we do, and sometimes, when it finally gives one back, it doesn't answer questions, it creates them. This is lumen life, where we don't just look at history, we look through it. Off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, the water shifts in long, quiet currents, cold, heavy, unmoving to the naked eye, but always changing beneath the surface. For nearly 2,000 years, something rested there. No sound, no memory, no witness, just time pressing down. Until one day, the sea moved differently. A storm, violent, sudden. The kind that doesn't just pass over water, it rearranges it. Sand lifts, rock shifts, hidden things are exposed. And when the divers went down, they weren't prepared for what they would find. They expected sponges. They found a graveyard. Imagine descending into that darkness. Your breath controlled, your body sinking slowly through blue that fades into black. The light above you shrinking, the world narrowing to silence and pressure. And then shapes begin to form. Not natural, human. A bronze arm, reaching upward. A face, half buried, eyes open, unmoving. Fragments of statues scattered like they fell from the sky. And then the ship, broken, torn apart. Wood long gone. Cargo spilled across the seabed like the remains of a forgotten story. This wasn't just a wreck, it was a moment in time. Frozen. And somewhere within that moment, something small waited to be noticed. At first, it didn't matter. A lump, corroded, rough, covered in centuries of mineral buildup. It looked like nothing more than rock fused with metal. It was cataloged, stored, almost ignored. But history has a way of hiding its most important truths in ordinary shapes. Years later, when the fragments were examined more carefully, something unexpected appeared. Teeth. Not animal, not organic. Metal. Perfectly cut. Gears. Inside that broken mass was a system. Not random. Not decorative. Intentional. Interlocking wheels designed to move together. With precision. That object would become known as the Antikythera Mechanism. And from that moment on, history would no longer feel as stable as we thought, because this wasn't just an artifact, it was a contradiction. As scientists began to analyze the fragments using X-rays and later advanced imaging techniques, more details emerged. Layer after layer, hidden inscriptions etched into the metal. Tiny Greek text, acting almost like instructions, not poetic, not symbolic, practical, functional. This wasn't art, it was engineering. The gears, over 30 of them, were arranged in a way that allowed rotational movement to translate into complex calculations. Turn a crank, and the machine would model the movement of celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, possibly even the visible planets. It could predict eclipses, not guess them. Predict them. Based on cycles we now understand mathematically. In simple terms, this was a computer, a mechanical one, built over 2,000 years ago. Now stop for a moment, because this is where the story becomes uncomfortable. The level of sophistication inside this device doesn't match its time, not even close. Technology like this doesn't appear again in human history until over 1,000 years later. That's not a gap, that's a disappearance. Which raises a question that still doesn't have an answer. If they could build this, what else could they build? Ancient Greece was not primitive. It was driven by curiosity, an intense need to understand the world. Mathematicians like Archimedes explored principles of motion and mechanics that still form the foundation of physics. Astronomers like Hipparchus studied the skies with remarkable accuracy, mapping lunar cycles and developing early trigonometric concepts. Some researchers believe Hipparchus's work directly influenced the mechanism. Others suggest it may have been built in intellectual centers like Rhodes, a hub of astronomical study and engineering. But here's the part that changes everything. You don't create something like the Antikythera Mechanism in isolation. You don't jump from simple tools to complex gear systems overnight. You build toward it. Through failed versions, through experiments, through generations of knowledge, which means this machine was not the beginning. It was the result of something much larger, something we no longer see. And then, it's gone. The Roman Empire expands. Greece is absorbed. Knowledge is transferred but not always preserved. Wars disrupt continuity. Libraries burn. Teachers disappear. And somewhere in that collapse, precision fades. Not completely, but enough that something like this never appears again for over a millennium. This is the fragile truth about human progress. It isn't guaranteed. It isn't permanent. It can be lost. Now imagine holding that machine in your hands, turning a small crank and watching time unfold, seeing patterns in the sky that others cannot see, knowing when the sun will darken, when the moon will shift, when cycles repeat. In the ancient world, that wasn't just knowledge, that was power. To predict an eclipse before it happens, you don't just understand the sky. You control how others respond to it. You shape belief. You influence decisions. This wasn't a weapon, but knowledge like this can act like one. Not through force, but through precision. Even today, precision is everything. In modern systems, whether navigation, communication, or strategy, the ability to predict and calculate outcomes changes how decisions are made. Not violently, but effectively. The Antikythera Mechanism represents that same principle. Understanding patterns allows control over outcomes, and that's where this story becomes personal. Because it's not just about what they built, it's about what we've forgotten. The ship that carried the mechanism wasn't ordinary. It transported statues, art, wealth, cultural artifacts moving from Greece to Rome. This was knowledge in transit. And when that ship sank, it didn't just lose objects. It erased context. We don't know who built the mechanism. We don't know who owned it. We don't know how many others existed. We have fragments, and fragments leave gaps. And in those gaps, questions grow. Was this device unique, or just the only one that survived? Were there workshops producing similar machines? Were there teachers passing down this knowledge? Or did something happen that caused it all to disappear? Today, the mechanism is displayed in the National Archaeological Museum of Athens, carefully preserved behind glass, studied with modern tools, reconstructed digitally. We understand how it works. We can simulate its functions. We can even rebuild versions of it. But understanding it doesn't make it less mysterious, because the more we learn, the more it challenges what we thought we knew. It forces us to confront something uncomfortable, that history is incomplete, that progress is fragile, and that knowledge can vanish. There's something deeply human in that realization. We like to believe we're always moving forward, that everything we learn stays with us. But that's not how it works. Sometimes we lose things. Not just objects, but ways of thinking, ways of understanding the world. And when those disappear, we don't always notice, until something like this resurfaces. A machine, built in a time that shouldn't have allowed it, waiting silently beneath the sea, reminding us that the past is not as simple as we think. And maybe the real question isn't who built the Antikythera mechanism, but what else have we forgotten? Because if something this advanced, this precise, this thoughtful can disappear once, then it can disappear again. This is lumen life. And sometimes, the most important discoveries aren't the ones that tell us something new. They're the ones that remind us of what we've already lost. And somewhere, beneath layers of time, silence, and memory, there may be more, waiting, not to be found, but to be remembered.
Please subscribe to discover unsolved mysteries of all time. Include a mix of ancient mysteries, famous disappearances, unexplained phenomena, and historical enigmas from around the world. Thanks.